you're blind, you can't receive a push notification.
You can
from another person, with body language.
Oh, right, that kind. Yeah, the other kind you could do it using vocalization, probably.
I'm going to push you.
Butterscotch.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 77 of Coffee with Butterscotch, the game dev comedy podcast of Butterscotch Shenanigans. I'm Seth, and I'm the games programmer.
I'm Adam, and I'm the webnet tube slinger.
I'm Sam, and I make pictures.
And today is unlucky Tuesday, December 13th.
Spooky, so spooky.
2016. Warning, anything could happen on this show. There will be profanity, other stuff. We might talk about ghosts, which is very scary.
Very spooky.
So if you are a child, if you're easily offended by just simple, harsh words
or phantasms
or ghosts, then you should get out of here.
It's almost like we're related, how we say the same shit.
It is a bit.
Yeah.
Speaking of phantasms, the only context I remember hearing about phantasms, I'm pretty sure, was
Pathways into Darkness.
Yeah. Where you have to use, for some reason, you use a crystal.
Well, yeah, you can't shoot them. They're phantasms.
Right, but you
don't be
use a
stupid
crystal, and then you just... You
you use the blue crystal. It freezes them. Then you can shank them and stab them.
I remember this. If you didn't have it by then, you just
got fucked.
You just got
killed. How do you fire the crystal? Because
you just squeeze it. It's like a stress ball. You just kind of give it a squeeze.
Because it has ammo.
And there was also the yellow crystal, which causes earthquakes.
Whoa.
Yeah, which does not affect phantasms, by the way, because they're phantasms. So you have to freeze them.
Shed and I were talking about this the other day, how we get a lot of implicit knowledge about things from playing video games. It may not be correct.
You mean about like how phantasms are affected by earthquakes?
I mean, there's that, and then there's like the medieval weapons from Diablo.
Yeah, you go into some old museum showing all these weapons. And you're like, I've seen all this shit.
No,
that's a bardiche.
Yeah. That's a bardiche.
Why do we need to know?
The difference between the two is this, because I used it on my whirlwind barb back in the day. Everyone's like, who?
I have a lot of combat experience with a bardiche. So we have some news this week. First off, we have closed the application for the 2D artist position. We've had 284 applicants.
Yeah,
which is pretty good.
Which is some fierce ass competition. It's very good. We have a great pool of folks. And I have to say that, unfortunately, we still can only take one.
Which is nuts. Which is 300 applications.
That's tight funnel.
So that's it's a 0.3% acceptance rate. So,
and when we say closed, we mean we aren't letting in any new applicants, but we're still going to finish those who are in there, because it's a multi-step process. We're going to chug them through, and then I guess we'll start interviewing next week.
We have some interviews scheduled for, I think 4 of them already for next week.
So thank you all who have applied so far, or I guess just in general, because it's done. And we'll be reviewing all this stuff over the coming weeks, and our eyes will be bleeding from reading so many bajillions of words. We also realized that our office has been blinding us because we installed these daylight lights in the ceiling, and they have like a 900 something lumens, which is
more like a floodlight,
which is a fuckload. Yeah. And it's sort of a white blue kind of just really harsh light. And this has been in our office for months and months now.
Well, I think we should back up and describe the new process that we have in place, which is every Monday, everybody in the office gets a self-reflection sheet that has like 6 questions on it. And you go through and it's like, am I working on the thing I should probably be working on? Like, yeah, I think so. What are my next steps? And then one of the questions is, what changes could be made to the office environment so that I could work better? And so these have netted things like, I guess we had some dumbbells that we brought out into the main room. We put made a call center in one of the back bedrooms, because of course this is in a basement in Seth's house. So there's a little chair and table for you to make phone calls at back there.
We put a little Spotify jukebox off in the corner.
We got a jukebox to
play some just nice video game music in the background.
It's this way for us to kind of just continually improve the space based on whatever anybody's doing. And actually, our jam day came out of this from a good chat we had with Andy. It was his suggestion. So, we've been using this thing to get some extra process improvements out of it. And then yesterday, after Andy did his, he's like, these lights are like really, it's like Walmart. Like I'm being blinded in a in a warehouse. And then as soon as he said it, my eyes started hurting. Like I didn't notice.
Like, wait a minute,
how fucking bright. And I was like, oh. And then so we immediately went to Home Depot after work, and
Which we had to get some shovels and some de-icer anyway because it's about to snow, and there's that.
also it's worth noting that Seth and Andy basically just left me in the store.
Yeah.
Just
we had a
straight up
moment.
left.
We were checking out all of our stuff. Andy and I just blazed through the self checkout. Sam was there. Sam was right next to us and actually started checking out first. And so Andy and I were like, okay, we'll just wait outside. So we step outside. We're waiting there, and it's like 3 minutes go by. Where is Sam? We don't know.
It's because I'm zoned in. I'm getting checked out, and then I look over, and Seth and Andy both fucking gone, just gone. And they were next to me, and I'm like, what?
So instead of Sam just thinking,
no,
maybe
I
they
peeked
left.
out. I went and peeked out, and nobody was there.
Well,
And then the register lady looked at me funny.
But also, I was like, Andy, go see what's going on with Sam. So Andy runs inside to look for Sam. Sam's gone. So somehow we phased
out.
We phased out into two different quest phases.
It's that cartoon, like the Scooby-Doo style thing where you are running through all the doors.
So then eventually Andy and I were like, maybe Sam somehow got to the truck somehow. So we went over to Andy's truck and we were waiting in there. And
so meanwhile, I'm in Home Depot and I'm like, maybe they, because they have like a one-way.
I have a quick question. Did anybody have a phone on them?
We did, but who's got time for that?
I was calling Sam, but it was too late.
So, the other thing is I'm holding a shovel, 2 ice scrapers, a gallon jug of. I don't have hands available.
You're just carrying Home Depot items.
And so the problem is I walk out from the cash register. I go against the flow, right? Because they have like an entry point and then there's a cash register exit point. And so I walk back out because I'm like, oh, maybe they went out. They must have gone around and gone out the place where we came in, which is closer to the truck because it's cold outside. So I go back over there, and then the woman stops me, and she's like, "Sir, you can't leave." And I was like, "What?" And she's like, "I need to see your receipt." And I was like,
I need some proof of purchase, sir.
I was like, "It's in the bag." And I'm like, I'm holding all this shit, so I literally can't. I can't even disentangle my hands from the bag. So she's like digging in there, and she's like, "So there's no receipt in here." And I was like, "Fuck!" I was like, "It's in the machine." And I was like, "Hang on!" So I go back. Walk back over to the goddamn checkout thing. And the funniest part about this is actually that so my credit card had gone through, but the signature thing was still there. So I had to actually sign it. So I'm like, oh shit. So I signed it real quick. I did almost steal a bunch of stuff. So I signed it real quick. And then I'm like, oh, okay. And then grab the receipt. And then walk back out. And the woman's like, give me this sort of look like clearly you just tried to steal stuff, which I guess I did, but I wasn't trying to. Like my intent was not there. Just too many steps.
I saw you sign that.
Why do you need my signature to buy $30 worth of snow supplies?
I don't know. Just in case.
I don't think signatures even hold up in court.
They don't. So I literally,
especially considering if you sign something on one of those stupid signature pads,
it never
doesn't look anything like.
I took that pen and I just whipped it across. No one would ever know.
There was some place I went to because that's all I do. It's like a quick scribble and that's it. Mm-hmm. But there was some place I went to where I did that and it didn't work. And I was like, oh, it didn't take my signature. And the cashier said, oh, did you just like scribble it really quick? And I was like, yes. And she said, oh, this one doesn't let you do that.
So maybe it just detects how long your pen was on.
Take some time or something.
What? You only touched it for 1/10 of a second. That's not a signature.
But yeah, so I get to the exit point, and the woman just is giving me this look like I'm a petty thief, you know. And turn on my thing, and I walk outside, and Seth and Andy are just in the truck, just like right there by the entry point. And I'm like, I just go, what the fuck?
and in our truck, we're like, we'll give him 2 minutes, and if he doesn't show up, he's probably gone.
I'm like, you guys just left me to die in Home Depot.
Oh, jeez. Man. So that happened. So I guess the moral of the story is we now have slightly dimmer lights.
Yeah.
So that's
also
good.
Shovels.
And shovels. And then this past weekend was the Ludum Dare competition / jam, which...
What is Ludum Dare?
Ludum Dare is a 48-hour game-making extravaganza on Friday night at 8 p.m. Central Time. They announce the theme, and then you have 48 hours to make a game that incorporates that theme. You can do it by yourself. You can do it with a team. I did it totally solo, which was first time I've done that in quite a long time. Mm-hmm. And I used the Shenanimator, which was the first time that has been used in an actual game.
So you're also doing software dev.
Yeah, I actually spent the first good portion of the jam debugging the Shenanimator. Mm-hmm. And I also used Adam's new Inkscape exporting / importing program called the InkTube.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that automatically compiles and exports a whole bunch of stuff at once out of Inkscape. That's called the ink pump.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the ink vac, which sucks those exported items into GameMaker and imports them automatically into there.
And the whole thing is called the ink tube.
Yeah, it's the ink tube, which has a pump
on one side.
It has a pump and a vac. So
the naming convention was all Seth's idea.
So there were a number of times where the Shenanimator broke. There were a number of times where the ink pump broke. And so Adam and I were, throughout the course of this jam, doing software development and debugging those things. But a game still came out of it, and the game is called Alien Kitchen Turbo. And
in classic Butterscotch naming fashion.
Yeah. Just some generic word and then turbo or extreme on the end of it. It turned out pretty fun. It's and I specifically, in this case, I made a game that we have some rules for jamming, for making games really fast, which usually revolve around focus on action games, right? So we've tried making tower defense games. We've tried making simulation games and whatever. And because those game types have so many required components before they are complete, then they are really, really hard to execute in a jam, right? But if you have something that's like an arcade game, so think like Roid Rage, it's like fly around asteroids, and if you hit one, you lose, right? You could prototype that in 20 minutes. And then you have the rest of the jam to actually figure out how to make it interesting. So I kind of went against that convention for this one. And I made a game that's the Alien Kitchen Turbo is in 2 phases. The premise is you are an alien lead chef of an alien kitchen, and you're trying to make your kitchen make as much money as possible. So there's the build phase where you buy equipment and hire employees, and then you can also rearrange the layout of your kitchen to try to maximize the flow. And then there's the dinner rush phase where orders come in at the order window, and then you as the lead chef have to go grab the order and then bring it to your employees. And hopefully you bring it to the right employees who are, at the right pieces of equipment and stuff like that. It turned out pretty good. I think
it's pretty fun.
I think the only downside to it is I didn't have, because it was one of those bigger game concepts, I didn't have time to expand it much beyond what I would consider sort of like an early stage where, for example, like I would have loved to add conveyor belts and some automated systems where you could try to set up like actual mechanisms to auto deliver like recipes and auto pick up food. It's like almost like a Factorio kind of a situation. That would have been so cool. And honestly, if I had like 8 more hours, I probably could have done that. But
we also didn't have the fights.
The original idea was it was going to be a Gordon Ramsay simulator.
There was going to be different employees would have different tempers, and the higher their skill was, the worse temper they would have. And if people around them screwed up, because each alien has an attention to detail metric where they have a propensity to mess up a dish and then have to start over cooking it. And so if you have an alien that has a bad temper next to an alien that screws up all the time, then you just got a recipe for fights, right? And so then part of the kitchen layout was going to be not just maximizing the flow of food and orders, but also keeping your employees from attacking each other.
I was going to say, I think, because the original idea was that you would go up and if someone was like on the verge of freaking out, you'd sort of slap them around.
Slap them, yeah.
I think it'd be better if you had to go and you slapped, so they'd be having like a slap fight after.
And then you jump in and slap.
And then you get in there like, just stop it.
That was the intention. They would start slapping each other. But yeah, what it turned out was at the dinner rush, it's a 30-second window where you have to get as many orders as possible. And it gets so frantic once you have even just like 5 employees that having to pay attention to anything other than picking up food and dropping things off would have just been insane. So, so that got cut. But anyway, we can probably put a link to it maybe on the podcast page or something.
Definitely could in the description of the episode.
So there'll be links around. Alien Kitchen Turbo. Play it. It's free. Whatever. Who cares? All right. Let's move on to some questions.
All right. Questions come from podcast.bscotch.net. You can ask them anonymously or with your Bscotch ID, which gives you some sweet perks and stuff. You can vote
I also
on
reorganized the podcast page, so it's a little bit less dumb than it used to be.
That's always good.
Not a lot less dumb, but a little bit.
The questions
less
are at the top now.
Yeah.
Hey!
Or the question form. So you don't have to scroll for 45 days. To ask
well, it usually wasn't a problem when we had like 5 episodes.
We have 70 or something.
We've been around the block.
Yeah, I've seen some shit.
Oh, actually, we have when I was tooling around in the back end of the thing, I saw that we have had a total of 1,000 questions asked.
Oh my god!
We've answered 400 some of them.
Wow,
which means the rest got deleted.
Does it still send people? Do we decide if it sends people notification? Do we turn that off?
It sends them a notification when it gets answered.
But when we delete it,
I'm pretty sure
be
still
silent?
that it does not tell them when it's
Good.
deleted. Pretty sure.
so if you ask a question and it didn't get answered, it's because
It's because who knows what happened.
I don't know. It's just it's crazy.
It is probably an error.
Question
It's
just
probably a
disappeared.
system
All right,
error.
first question comes from Jinxed Soul, who says, "Out of every game you've ever played, what was the hardest achievement that you have unlocked?"
Okay, I have a beef.
It's definitely a WoW one for you.
Wait, what's your beef?
No, my beef
How could
is
you have a beef?
My beef is that here's the phrase.
I
here,
want a
right?
beef.
Like,
Yeah, what's a beef?
what's the hardest achievement you've ever unlocked? Not what's the hardest thing you've ever achieved.
You mean?
Because achievements in games are often mundane as fuck and actually are not actually. That
Okay,
interesting,
let's
right?
broaden it
Well,
up then.
I don't think this is necessarily a beef then. I think this is fine.
I'll say
this
that-
is
let's just
specifically
rephrase it.
it's specifically using the definition of achievement that is an in-game unlock that gives you a little icon.
Yeah. Well, I'll say the hardest thing I ever did in a game was I built a fighter jet in Kerbal Space Program,
Mhm.
and I flew it to the only other celestial body in the solar system that also has an oxygen atmosphere, which is one of the moons of Jewel, which is sort of like the Kerbal Space Program Jupiter, right? It has a moon that's basically a planet. And it has oxygen, which means you can use air-breathing engines like jet engines,
Mm.
right? And so I made something that was kind of like a moon lander, but it used jet engines instead. So I flew this thing over there. I landed it, and then I took off and I flew back to space with a jet engine on another planet. And that took probably a good like 30 hours of developing my spacecrafts and trial and error and stuff. So
That's pretty good.
that's the hardest thing I ever did. But you don't
Well-
get an achievement for that.
Yeah. But what's the hardest achievement though? Thing that does give you an
Here's
achievement.
the thing.
I don't even know.
I actually don't pay attention to achievements pretty much at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Out of
So I
like-
don't actually
think I know
know
what
what
yours is.
achievements I have.
I think I know what mine is. What do
Yeah.
you think mine is?
Half-Life.
I did the Half-Life
Oh,
Gnome
yeah.
achievement.
This was like around the time achievements first sort of became a
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, I think it was basically when they first became a thing.
Oh
So
wait, I did kill 100,000 Alliance players in World of Warcraft.
That's
did-
pretty
I did
good.
do that.
That's pretty dang good.
Yeah.
That's gross.
That is an achievement that I unlocked.
Yeah, the gnome achievement though in Half-Life 2 is at the very one of the very early scenes in the game. There's just a little garden gnome sitting underneath a bed, right? And Half-Life 2, for those of you who weren't around or weren't into games at the time, or
2004,
it's 2004, right?
which means
It was-
people who were born that year are now 12.
True.
Go play
So-
Half-Life.
Go play Half-Life
when
2.
they can play Half-Life now.
So Half-Life 2 though, it broke a whole bunch of barriers in games when it came out. And one of those things is that you couldn't interact with everything like you can now in some games, but you could interact with a lot of things. And it used to be the case that you just fucking could interact with anything. So it's kind of the first like major title to really
And
start
it's all
doing that.
physicsy too.
It's all physicsy. And in fact, physics-based gameplay became a staple of that game. But anyway, so you can just pick up stuff all the time. And so it makes you always want to pick up things, right? And as a consequence, they just made it as kind of a little joke. They just made this little garden gnome, put him in an early scene, and then added an achievement that if you, at the very end of the game, there's a rocket or like a missile, and that you go basically interact with the cone of this missile as part of the game. And so there's an achievement that you could put that gnome into the cone of this rocket.
So you carry it through the
So you
entire
have to carry
game.
it through the entire game, but while you're carrying it, you can't do anything else, right?
So you got to carry it and like put it down.
Yeah, you
and
got to
then
carry it, you got to
kill
throw it down and
people.
then kill things or
Go back and
or
get it.
solve a puzzle and then go back
Well,
and
and
get it.
there's scenes in that game where like you were driving a
Oh, like a dune buggy.
was that the
Yeah.
dune buggy? Or
You have
the
to like,
boat?
don't you have to like put it in the passenger
Yeah,
seat?
or I put it
you
in
gotta
the
like
back.
you gotta kind of wedge it in there.
Yeah. But it keeps on falling out, so it makes it a very
So every now and then you'd be driving like and then you look back and like, oh fuck, where's my gnome? And then you gotta go back and pick it up.
Yeah, well, and there are these crazy scenes where you're fighting these striders, these three-legged creatures that are really fast, and you're in a buggy, like driving around, being chased by these things, and your fucking gnome flies out the back.
God damn.
So that's one of the. I think that's the only achievement that I sought out to go get because it sounded so interesting.
Well, it's also interesting because that completely changes the nature of the gameplay.
Yeah.
I guess, right? Pursuing that one.
Yeah, so I like those ones. The ones where you're just like keep doing what you're doing, and then we'll give you a bonus, right?
Yeah.
We'll just give you a little icon to symbolize your progress. Those to me, those aren't.
Well, it kind of flies
Interesting.
in the face of what the word achievement means. You know, like hey, you completed a tutorial that you achieved.
Yeah, it depends
You
on what the
achieved
thing is
something
though, because
big.
when it's something like defeat 100,000 Alliance players, right?
That is an achievement.
Yeah. But what about
But again,
1,000?
I just did it because I wanted to.
But that doesn't make it. That doesn't make it.
Just
Not,
loves murder.
but how does that make it not an achievement though?
I don't know.
This is like the Nobel Prize, right? People don't do science to get a Nobel Prize, although some asshats do. But for the most part, they're just doing their science.
That's true.
And then
Now, let me
someone's
ask,
like,
let me
Nobel
ask you
Prize.
this, though, because this comes back to that question of external versus or extrinsic versus intrinsic motivation, right?
yeah.
If you start making little badges of honor for people doing any activity at all in a game, does that motivate people to do it, or does it demotivate people?
Here's the question: Can you truly get an achievement if you're trying to get it? That's essentially what you're saying. The people who win Nobel Peace Prizes aren't trying to.
Right. They're just doing their thing.
People who achieve the greatest things in murder scope in terms of World of Warcraft just like murder.
Well, and I think if you set out, if you're like, I don't really give a fuck about science, I'm just here for the Nobel Peace Prize, right?
Mhm.
I'm going to dedicate my life to getting that Peace Prize, and whatever I have to do to get it,
However many Lions players I have to kill.
I'm gonna do it. I think you'd have a harder time getting it then.
Probably.
Yeah, because you're so focused on the prize that you can't do the
Don't
thing you
focus
need
on
to
the
do.
journey.
Well, I think my greatest, at least recent one that I can remember is in Terraria. So I beat Terraria, and I mean like
Which
beat
is
it.
something.
Beating the Moon Lord boss at
Hard
the
as
end, which is
fuck.
really, really fucking hard. In order to do that, I went and I looked up all of the possible buffs you can get in the game. So I had like the best armor you could get, had the best weapon you can get, and this boss was still just crushing me into the dirt. So I was like, all right,
Time to
time
take
to
it to the next
prepare.
level.
So I looked up all of the buffs and then went and like fished and cooked up all of the dishes and got all of the fish and then ate all of them. And so I had this
Because
list
they're
of
all
buffs.
independent buffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like all of the different tables you can get that increase like how many minions you can summon, just all this shit. And so I was just as buffed as was physically possible.
Man, you min-maxed the hell out
I
of that.
min-maxed the hell. Well, you have to. This boss fight is nuts. So, and then finally killed him. And then after that, I was like, okay, like I've done the thing. So I went and killed him 2 more times. Each time it's still harder than shit, by the way. Like it's really, really hard. But some of the gear you get from it, of course, helps offset how difficult it is. So killed the Moon Lord like 3 or 4 times, got all the stuff it wanted. And then I was just super into it still. And I was like, what's the craziest thing you could build in this game? And it's this, normally you build your drills, right? Or your like pickaxes. You build a
The
pickaxe,
fucking
better pickaxe.
UFO.
You could build this fucking UFO that it requires like 40 of every ore, including like the super rare ones. So I just made the list and then I just went down. It took me like 4.5 hours to gather all the stuff. Now that I have my extreme turbo gear on, and you build this UFO that literally like it's like a fucking bulldozer.
It just
like,
has, it's a laser bulldozer.
yeah. So you fly around, so it flies first of all,
Yeah.
and then
So
you just
gravity is now nothing.
yeah.
don't
So
give
you
a
just
shit.
click in a direction, and then like 8 lasers just shoot in that direction and just like destroy blocks. So you can pretty much just fly through the map as you're
But
drilling.
of course,
it.
the sad reality of the UFO is that once you have it, you don't need it.
Nah, man, I love that thing. Well, so the first thing I
Because
did,
like once you've built that, what else do you need to build?
because there's a problem, which is that of course corruption spreds in Terraria constantly.
Not
So-
with your UFO.
crush
Andy.
corruption.
So what I did was because the first base that I ever had in Terraria that I started getting far in, this corruption crept in and then just destroyed my life basically and kind of fucked up my game. So I was
you
like,
seek revenge.
So you
I'm
were on
going
a quest
to-
for vengeance.
with my newfound UFO powers, I'm just going to disconnect my base from the planet. So I just dug
Build
a
an
huge
air moat.
trench. So I just had this basically a floating island in the sky. But
Sort of a
the sky
Dalaran situation.
used to be the ground.
Did it go all the way to hell?
It went about halfway there.
Nice.
It took about 5 minutes. So it was really fun. And then I got super sad because I booted up Terraria a few weeks ago. And I don't know if I like never put that into the cloud or whatever else, but I don't have that saved. So I was like, no. Which is okay, I guess, sometimes
That's
in
one
the
thing
future.
that to me is interesting about Terraria specifically
Mhm.
is that the difference between you as a starting player with nothing and that is fucking incredible. It's just enormous.
It's true. Most games don't have that wide of a power differential.
Yeah,
You
because
can-
even things like World of Warcraft, just the numbers get bigger.
right.
You get more abilities
You get more,
But,
you get
yeah.
more abilities,
But they all do the same
and
thing.
bigger shoulder pads.
yeah, which would just make it. But then you just kill things. Like that's still
Yeah.
what you do, right? But in something like Terraria, you get better at crafting and better at combat, and then you get better armor. Then you can fly a little bit, and then
Mhm.
and they start just to kind of stack these things together so that you're basically it's really, you literally go from being like a normal person to being
god.
a superhero.
Yeah, you're a
or
superhero
god.
at the end of it. Yeah, with a UFO.
What's next then? What are they gonna patch in after the UFO?
They patched. They keep saying like, "Oh, this is the last patch." And then
Wait
like
a
6 months
minute.
later, they're like,
And they're like, wait,
Just
we just
kidding.
made millions more dollars. I guess we'll
Yeah.
just keep
Is-
keep doing this.
Is it the prequel to Starbound?
"Terraria."
Yeah, because you building spacecraft now. Is
No,
that
that'd be
Starbound's made by somebody else, isn't it?
Starbound's was founded by one of the artists from Terraria originally.
I know, but hey, cross promo, right?
But
Maybe
there's a
they're doing
Terraria 2, though, right?
There is Terraria 2
In
coming
the
out at
works.
some point.
Yeah.
Who knows? Anyways, next question comes from Jinx Soul again. If you were able to transform into any two animals combined, so this is like a centaur situation, it would be me plus a horse.
Any two animals combined. So
Okay.
I guess if one of the animals is human, that you choose.
Right.
Yeah.
What animals would you choose? I personally think it'd be cool to combine an octopus because all of its OP survival tactics and a honey badger.
I would
'Cause honey badgers
combine.
don't care.
I would combine a platypus and an octopus. I
So
don't know what you'd call it.
A platoctopus.
A platoctopus. It would just be a
Alright.
basic platypus.
You could just call it an
right?
octopus.
Yeah, just call it
Yeah,
an
just
octopus.
Let's just use the puss from the platypus.
Yeah, it would be sort of an octopus, but just with a duck bill instead of a beak.
Nice.
And then just an arbitrarily placed beaver tail on it somewhere
On its back.
on its back.
Like a dorsal fin
yeah.
for swimming.
Interesting.
What we bet you, Adam?
Because also, platypuses, they don't have nipples. They shoot milk out of their skin. Just kind of.
What?
You don't know about this?
I thought they do.
No, they
they have like pads.
they
don't
have these like milk just sort of areas that just sort of constantly.
It's more like a
constantly just-
distributed nipple then.
It's like
right?
yeah,
Yeah,
It's like
it's a
their
nipple
whole
sheet.
sort of like their whole. It's like their whole body is a nipple,
Dude, platypuses are fucking weird.
and so then they could just be like, "I'm covered in milk now."
Adam, what would you turn into? Two animals, slam a jam them together whenever you want.
I think I would combine a tardigrade
Whoa. Okay.
because then I'd become immune to everything. And
They
live
are
forever.
invincible.
Yeah, which would be a pretty good deal.
With-
And the post-apocalyptic hellscape we're all about to be living in with nuclear fallout and all that
Sure,
stuff.
yeah.
It'd be just convenient.
Yeah.
To be immune to
Like we
radiation.
think.
And then maybe there's an Arctic fish. I can't remember what it's called, but its blood has a protein in it that works like antifreeze. And so even when the water is so cold around it that it should be frozen, it
isn't
can
this
still pump
isn't
its
this
blood.
redundant though? Because tardigrade.
But tardigrades mostly just like stop moving.
Here's a question for you, because tardigrades are so tiny.
Yeah. That's why I would.
So how big would you end up being? Because like the in-between point between microscopic and a fish is still
There's
really,
a
really
wide
small.
range
You're like
in
a
there.
minnow.
Yeah. Really, any size would be fine, pretty much.
I think I would combine the two animals, which would be just my human self plus like a fucking elephant or a rhino.
Would it be like an elephant, but just with a normal human head on it?
Just regular size.
Like a totally normal elephant, but just with a human face, just like smack in the middle of the head, just like a
Well, that's
freaky.
creepy.
Wait. Is the elephant head still there too? So like,
Yeah.
elephant eyes and the whole
Yeah, the
works?
whole
But
mix,
there's
and
just
then
a
there's
Oh,
stump
just
just
face.
also a
Yeah,
human head.
well, no, like more like a human face, like the front of a human head,
Kind of
just
like
embedded in there.
like the tree people kind of situation. Yeah.
And would the human head just kind of serve as an advisor to the elephant, or
I mean, you're still in charge. It's just because I'm assuming elephants have a hard time talking. I don't know if I want to lose my ability to speak just because I want to turn into a fucking elephant.
That's true.
Give me a
What if
break.
you just put human vocal cords into an elephant?
Well, I will say okay.
Ooh, okay.
Maybe.
If it was just you, if you
Actually, you already kind of sound like an elephant, just in octave
I
wise.
do rumble quite a bit.
Yeah.
True.
Elephants can speak in these rumbly tones that are so low that they are imperceptible to humans, but the sounds travel for miles.
20 miles.
Yeah.
Crazy.
They sort
shit.
of have like a telegraph system, right?
Mhm.
They can send messages long
Right.
distance.
If you had to just combine yourself with another animal, what would it be?
Just myself?
What about, well, let's do halves.
Which half? Any half?
Any half. Vertical, diagonal slice, whatever you want.
I'd replace my limbs with gorilla limbs.
I'd combine myself with Dwayne Johnson, who is another animal.
Which half?
Just the whole thing.
So you just become Dwayne.
I would
The
just
Rock
become
Johnson.
Dwayne the Rock Johnson. Yeah.
He's
He's very charming.
He's very charming.
Very charming dude. All right,
And
next
he
question.
has opposable thumbs, which is a benefit that most animals don't have.
That's true.
Next question comes from Zarnoff, who asks, releasing your games under early access as soon as it compiles seems to be all the rage. what are your
As
feelings
soon as it goes
on this practice? I like that's essentially where it's gone, right?
I
Games in early access now are known
gonna
for
be
just
honest.
being broke as fuck.
Yeah, I think there are a few circumstances where I think it's okay, but so Kerbal Space Program was in early access for years.
Yeah.
But it was a fully playable, essentially finished game the entire time.
Yep.
Which begs the question: was it in early access?
It did. I don't know why it was in early access.
Yeah, it was just under heavy development, but it still is. Even though like at some point they just said it's done now, patch 1.0, it's out of early access, and then they continue adding features just like they have been for the past 5 years. So I don't know.
Was it just because it was so sandboxy? Is that why they?
Probably.
Because there's like no tutorial.
I think
at the very beginning there was no point. Like there was just make rockets and fly them, right?
Well, and it was early access through their own website. They weren't selling it through Steam or anything for the first, I think, 2 years. They just sold it themselves.
Well, I guess what do you? So the question is basically, what's your feeling on the practice of what sounds like essentially too early of access?
I think it's
titles?
weird because if you release a game that actually is super early and is not finished and not actually very fun or interesting, then it's a terrible experience for the players and you cripple your chances at winning those people back, right? Because now people look at your studio as a studio that releases unfinished things, right? So if you put a game out into early access, it's still going out into the public. People are still paying money for it, and you still, I think, owe them you owe them a quality product. So it's kind of feels weird for it to be, I think it's at the very least, it's just kind of like, it's you saying this isn't done yet. It's good enough that we want people to play it, but it's not done yet. So it's like, I think there's a little bit of it gives you wiggle room so that if there's a bug or if there's, something that, is clearly unfinished, then it gives you an out. If players say, I don't like this aspect of the game, then you can try and say, well, it's still under development, right?
I guess my question is, how many people who have played or who play early access titles, if the game isn't like fun, how often do you come back to it? This is the thing I've confused
played
about
a few and I haven't returned to them.
That's what I mean, because it's like,
I think every early access game I've played except for Kerbal Space Program, I played for maximum half an hour and then never played again.
Well, even once it released. Slime Rancher. Yeah. I played Slime Rancher.
I did play the shit out of Slime Rancher.
But here's the problem is I played a whole bunch and then I reached the end of what was there in about an hour and a half or something.
Yep.
And then I was like, oh, that's cool. And maybe when they release, maybe it'll send me an email or something saying, hey, Slime Rancher's out of early access. And maybe then if I catch that, I might pick it up again. But I'm actually not planning on touching it again while it's in early access until it launches, because I don't want to play for another hour and then run out of stuff to do again. Right. I'd rather just play the full game. So
I think there's also something to be said about, there was this recent graph that came out that was showing the number of games that are on Steam based on the year that they were released. And 2016 accounts for, I think, like 40% of the games now. 40% of all games that are on Steam were released in the last 12 months. Okay. And when did early access start? 2 years ago?
2 or 3 years ago.
2 or 3 years ago. So I think there's a market difference happening where it used to actually be the case that there were still a lot of games coming out on Steam, way back when, but sure,
just all
fuck,
finished.
not nearly as many
Right.
as now. And so I think, getting into being able to say, oh, like you can't play the full experience of this game yet because it's not done. But you can sort of get in early and maybe you're waiting on, the next Far Cry or like the next big AAA release.
Wait, if there's 3 games coming out this month,
yeah,
but
then
one
you're
of them is in early access, you're like, well,
yeah,
I'll
it's
check
just
it
a cool
out.
thing to do, right? But I think that's my question.
If
Is
there's
like,
300 games coming out this month, you're like, I'll just
Right.
play the finished ones.
yeah, because the thing is, like, of all the ones that come out, month by month, there's always a handful of really good ones. Like no matter what, even as this tide of this crushing tide of games increases, we've already seen the same thing on mobile. There's 3,000 fucking games that come out a week on mobile.
And early access has actually just appeared on Google Play, or it's
Yeah,
it's
on
in
Google
Google
Play.
Works or something.
Yep.
Which I don't think we would ever want to probably do, right?
I'm not so sure about it, especially for narrative games.
Because
It
it's
doesn't
just
work.
it's just so hyper competitive that when there's
Why would you choose
500 or 800 games coming out a day, which there is on,
Right.
on Google Play, why would you put one up that's unfinished? Yeah, because
So
it's hard enough to get any attention on a game that actually is done and is good.
Well, and it used to be true that when you weren't done, it ran out of money. then early access was a path for you to go bring in some income to give you enough runway to finish off the game.
That may no longer be the case.
It doesn't seem like that's
not really the case anymore.
Or,
And also,
but people also look to games from 2 years ago, like Rust, or whatever or Kerbal Space Program, that went into early access around the time where there weren't that many games coming out on Steam. Early access was a new thing. Look at those and like, wow, those games got like 2-3 million players while they were in early access. It must be a feasible model. But nowadays, I don't know if it's.
I think the market has really shifted pretty hard in the last couple of years, and I think the biggest thing is actually one of getting eyeballs on your game, because players now on Steam, because you can customize your Steam storefront now, and you can just say, don't show me early access titles, which I do because they're all garbage by pretty much so far as I'm concerned. So I just don't even see them anymore. But the crazy thing is that if your game is in early access, the press is less likely to cover your full launch because the game is
old news.
Or your early access.
Or your early access. Like nobody cares about your early access launch, right? And then once you actually get done with the game after, say, 6 months or a year in development, not making much money because it's early access and not many people are buying it anymore, then when you go back to the press and you're like, hey, the game's fully launching, it's going to be out for real, they're like, I don't give
But yeah, it's not really, because it's been available for years.
Yeah.
And it's just been sort of like incremental improvements. Every month, the game has gotten better. And then at some point, you as a developer just flipped a switch to change the words around it from early access to release. Right?
I personally find the use of early access, if it's not for very particular types of games, I think it's actually not a good idea anymore. The risks outweigh the cost.
Yeah, you have to know exactly what you're trying to get out of it and how realistic that would be.
Yeah,
and I think most games seem to not really fully think through why they're putting.
Well, I think everybody still thinks that if you put it up on early access, that you could fund your development with it,
or even that that it's an opportunity for them to find out if people would buy it before they finish the thing and go through the effort of launching.
Again, who knows?
But it's not. Yeah. It's highly unlikely that your success or lack of success in early access is gonna, unless you actually do really well, then it's highly unlikely it's gonna correlate with what you actually get at launch.
That may even be the case if you do a Kickstarter as well.
Yep.
Right?
Same deal.
Because what makes people back a Kickstarter is the marketing around it, but you don't have anything finished. So yeah.
All right, next question comes from Jinxed Soul again. Speaking of getting Jammy Jams a lot, which is Jimmy John's around here, have you ever eaten so much of one food that you used to love that you hate it now?
Nope. There've been times where I ate too much of a thing and then didn't want it for a short period of time. The only one I can really remember was in college. My now wife bought me a giant, enormous box of Kit Kats, but like one of those industrial sized boxes, that
like a pallet.
Yeah, and within a very, very short time span, because that's how I do, I ate all of it, and as a consequence, then Kit Kats, which were my favorite candy at the time, then were just like fucking disgusting to me for probably actually a good like half year.
Who would win in a fight? A million Kit Kats on a pallet or one pallet-sized Kit Kat?
I would win.
Yeah. We all win.
We all win.
Well, so my question is did the hatred for the food begin during
the tail end? Yeah,
the tail end of it. We're like, God, I fucking hate this.
But there was a completionist thing, right? Because I'd eaten almost an entire pallet of Kit Kats. Yep. And so there's only a few left, and it's like,
you can't give up now, Adam.
I can't give up now. But then after that,
that's a coward's way out.
And I didn't have diabetes yet, so just keep.
What's another Kit Kat? What's the harm?
What's the harm?
But now they are back to my top two candies. So
for me,
okay.
I when I was first learning how to make games, I was on a time management crunch because I was in law school at the time, and I had to maximize my game dev learning time. So one of the things that I did was I was like, I shouldn't have to devote time and energy toward figuring out what I'm going to eat. So instead, I came up with a meal system that was I would just cook the same meal every 4 days in huge quantities.
It's a pretty simple system. Where do you get down to it?
Yeah.
But it is a good one.
Yeah. So I just cooked the same meal every 4 days, eat the fuck out of it, and then go to the grocery store and buy the exact same set of things again each time, right? So I cut out tons of cooking time.
This meal was pasta and hamburger, wasn't it?
With vegetables.
With vegetables, yeah.
Yeah. So you got your carbs, you got your meats, you got your veggies, right? It's all boom, complete nutrition.
I've had it before. It's pretty good.
Yeah. So I ate that for about a year, just every day. And guess what? I still fucking love it. It's so good.
Yeah, I think mine has to be it's a similar thing, but eggs and sausages, because whenever my wife and I decide that we're kind of overcooking for a while because of the same reason, we're like, oh man, we're just really busy. I don't have to deal with this nonsense. Then we just go to the store and we buy those pre-cooked sausages where they're just coming in a pack of like 4 or 6, these big, cool looking bratwurst. Good for you, good ingredients. We're like, fuck it. So for lunch, I just have 2 of these and you just nuke them and you eat them with some ketchup. And you guys have seen me doing that.
Yeah, I've been wondering about this.
It's about half of my meals.
Sam's like, I got my lunch, and he's just like holding a sausage.
So I
sausages.
I'm not tired of, like, I never get upset about having food to eat. I'm just not gonna get upset
I
about
love food.
But if you gave me a choice, if you're like, you could not have sausages today, I'd be like, yes, please.
I will take
You know what I mean?
Well, it's the difference between just being cool with it and having,
Yeah.
you know.
And then the same thing happened
Having
with
preferences.
eggs, because basically the same situation. We always have just eggs in the morning. And I used to do what Seth does, which is eat like half a carton of eggs every time I eat eggs. So 6 to 8 scrambled eggs in the morning. It's just too many fucking eggs, to be honest.
Yeah.
Just like, just too fucking many. So I can do that for a couple days in a row. And then I'm like,
No, I mean, the thing
Will
is,
not.
it's actually not enough eggs. So what you got to do is you got
is it a
to
You gotta
parabolic?
get over the hump.
you got to pass. It's sort of like you landed in the uncanny valley of egg consumption. You got to eat at least 9
But it
eggs.
also depends
at
on
once.
how you cook them, because scrambled eggs are like the most boring of egg types. Actually, that's not true. Hard boiled eggs.
Not,
I think-
not if you fling a bunch of
Well, here's the
chili
problem, though.
flakes. in
Right,
there.
exactly. You gotta
Yeah.
have the right.
Dude, they're spices. They're spicy. But I think the
Have you
problem
tried
is
cinnamon?
I put cinnamon on my eggs.
It's good.
Do it.
The fuck, you barbarian?
Do it. It's good.
Really?
Yeah.
Cinnamon on your eggs?
Yeah.
Put some Kit Kats in there.
Kids
Too.
go crazy for this cinnamon
No,
egg
just
crunch.
a little, like because you don't think of cinnamon, as
Cinnamon
a
egg crunch.
you might not think of it as a food that you put on, or the thing that you put on hearty foods.
Oh,
I guess,
cinnamon
but-
makes everything better.
Also, wait,
It
can we
really
go
does,
back
yeah.
to Cinnamon Toast Crunch real quick? Because they're always like,
Wait,
what
were
do-
we on cinnamon toast crunch?
I was. So when they're like, "Was cinnamon, what do kids go crazy for Cinnamon Toast Crunch? Is that
I thought they go
or-
crazy for Cookie Crisps,
Oh, yeah.
which, by the way, is a cereal that's just small cookies.
Well, I was going to point out.
Why do kids love this?
Because it's sugar. That's
Because
what
it's
I'm
a pile of cookies.
Well, yeah. So, well, I think the thing is, if you're gonna make 12 eggs, I think you're right. You need to vary the texture that
Yeah.
you're gonna be eating them in.
Also,
so like studies
you
had
got to
that,
mix
plus-
in some runny egg in there, because runny egg is the best kind of egg. You just need to get it in
But you
there
can't. This is
sometimes.
my thing. You can't tell me that eating 6 runny
No,
eggs.
I
in a
wouldn't
row-
recommend that at all.
no, you drink them. Also,
Actually, yeah.
Also,
that's perfect.
another way you can vary it is there's a couple things. For example, you might put it on a different plate. You know, maybe like a fancy plate versus a
Mm.
simple one. And you can also vary how fast you eat it. So, like some days you eat it really fast.
I have
Other days
one-
you eat it really fast.
I have one speed setting when it comes to food.
How fast
just
do you
fast.
inhale? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we grew up in the culture of public school Iowa inhaling food.
So at one point, every other person I've talked to, nobody else had as short of lunch periods as we did.
Our
Anywhere in the
22-minute
fucking
lunches?
country.
Yeah. Growing up, we had in our
22
school
minutes.
we had 22-minute lunch.
Well,
period.
that was to get to lunch.
Yeah,
to
this
get
is-
in line, get our food, get back, eat it, and then get back to class.
Which
Yeah.
means you had it was 10 to 15 minutes of waiting to get your food.
Yeah. You had
7
5
minutes
minutes to eat it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
5
you had,
minutes
you had
eating
to
it.
eat your entire lunch in 5 to 7 minutes at our school.
Which I have to say was actually spectacular training, because like when you're trying to get some shit done, being able just to make food and eat it in a span of just a handful of minutes is a really useful skill.
Yeah.
yeah,
I inhale it now.
Yep.
Anyways, we got a really important question now. This comes from Pixel Bracket, who says, pancakes, waffles, or French toast? It's in caps.
This is
so-
related. Of those 3, only French toast, because the other 2 are basically garbage.
No, my waffles.
Waffles are the shit.
Nah.
Sorry, Adam. You've been voted
Pancakes.
off the
I'm glad
island.
that everybody agrees that pancakes are the worst.
Pancakes
though.
are garbage.
Pancakes, when you put syrup on them, they just turn into a horrible soup of.
Right.
Yeah, you need
Of
waffles.
cake
For, it's
pieces.
a, it's a
Yeah, I would
texture
say
thing.
waffles are the best as a vehicle for
They
syrup
got little
and butter.
syrup cups.
Yeah, they're perfect for that, and they're crispy enough that they tend to not dissolve, that they still do. But as just a standalone food item, the only one that's actually interesting is French toast.
I think I just
'Cause it's got
disagree.
more stuff.
No,
and
waffles
flavors
are
in it.
waffles.
Because-
You need a fucking crazy like cast iron machine just to make them. Like you got to press them
think
into existence.
My problem with French toast is that like just French toast, which by its like sort of culinary definition is you take a bunch of eggs, slam some toast, slam some bread in there, and then
Yeah.
throw them on the grill.
Now you've got a full hearty breakfast right
Well, here's
there.
the thing though. Just that by itself, not that good.
Yeah.
Waffle by itself, though, I think much better than French toast.
No,
by
they're
itself.
all terrible by themselves.
They're all
That's true. You got to down some sugar.
They're all just vehicles.
real.
I think, yeah, we can all agree that nobody really likes any of these. It's the syrup that's the good part.
Yeah.
So the question is, which one is the best
It's just like cookie
carrier
crisps.
of syrup?
And a better question is, why aren't we just drinking syrup for breakfast? Like, why don't we just get a cup?
Put some cinnamon in there.
Yeah.
You know how some behaviors aren't allowed if they're done by themselves. It's like those people who are like, I only smoke when I drink. You know, like you don't want to be the guy who's just smoking off in the corner by himself. But
Yeah, but
if
when you
you're pairing
pair
it-
it together,
So I
it's
only
like-
drink syrup when it's out of a tiny cup
Waffle.
made out of a waffle.
Well, it's like we talked about this, I think maybe like 20 podcast episodes ago or something about how breakfast foods,
they're a lie.
they're basically you take a dessert, you separate out the sugary part,
Then you pour it
then
on.
you put it back on, and then it becomes breakfast.
Speaking of breakfast food, the next person's
How
name
many
is
breakfast questions are
The
there?
next question. Well, the next question is from someone called Real Pop Tart Bacon.
We're on a roll here.
Yeah. So Real Pop Tart Bacon asks, "What motivated you guys to start making games? And did you have any experiences in life that made you want to make games?"
I didn't really want to make games.
Adam didn't even want to.
I was okay with it.
We just made him do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't make
He
games.
still doesn't
We were
make
like,
games.
"Adam, we need help." He's like, "No."
I was like,
and then we were like, Adam. And he's like, fine.
Stupid brothers dragging me into
Yeah.
stupid games.
I don't know how to answer this. I think it's just they've always been kind of cool and interesting. I think it's because maybe when we were growing up, we weren't allowed to really have games. And so
Yeah.
they kind of carried this like mystical, the forbidden fruit.
Yeah.
So anytime I go to friends' houses and stuff, I would just play the shit out of whatever video game consoles they had, because every one of my friends had just mountains of video games everywhere.
So the lesson here is
and none of them are making video games.
That's true.
yeah.
So does prohibition work, or does it just turn everybody into makers of whatever?
I think it turns
prohibited?
into that repression concept, right? Where it's like
turn into a freak.
Yeah, by pushing it down for 18 years, then it all comes out at once, and then that's
then
it.
Then you're a
You
purveyor.
end
of it.
up in the hospital because you gamed too much.
You gamed hard.
All right, next question comes from Mia Kitty. What's something you miss most from your childhood? Is there a food or drink that's off the market, a toy or game that no longer exists, somewhere y'all used to go individually or as a family? I'm going to say the ability to walk outside, pick up a stick, and just throw it as hard as you can. And have it not matter where it landed, because we had enough land that it was like whatever.
We lived like 2 miles outside of town in the middle of fucking nowhere.
I've tried to explain this to people, because you can't even do this. Like when I go to Castlewood, the park, to go hiking, or Forest Park.
Yeah, you can't just
I still
fling.
can't go flinging sticks. And I'm like, I just want to throw a fucking stick however far I want.
the shit
Let me throw
that we were able to do. We were able to do stuff like we got some fireworks from which were not legal in Iowa, so we had to go down to the Missouri-Iowa border.
We'll just say they appeared. We had fireworks.
Somehow there were fireworks.
If there's any
and
policemen listening.
We
This is-
definitely did not carry them across the border because that would be
Definitely not.
illegal.
That would
no,
be
we
super
didn't
illegal.
do that, and we also didn't do this next thing I'm going to talk about, which
This is
is
a hypothetical.
yeah, which is we would like take the contents of the fireworks out and try mixing them with different things to see what we could make it do.
We made bombs.
yeah,
That's what we did.
and then we would just got into the front yard and just blow them up like right there.
I
in the front
remember
yard.
trying to turn a floss container into a little explosive by filling it up with black powder.
Did you wrap the fuse around the little
I can't
dispenser of
remember what I
floss?
did.
I remember one time that Adam in particular was pretty pumped about.
Adam built a
going
lot of
I had good times.
weapons.
I remember one time Adam tried to make a coffee creamer fireball.
Oh yeah,
What did you not try to
I tried to do a lot of things.
Yeah, Adam also
Although
built.
that
Adam
works,
also built a trebuchet,
a working medieval trebuchet,
siege weapon.
It had 210 pounds of counterweight.
which we hurled coconut-filled or gasoline-filled coconuts out of.
That's true. That were on fire.
Which,
What
again,
did we do?
You can't really do this. Yeah, I mean, it takes to build a trebuchet is like $40 of wood.
It was more
and a
like
few
150
brackets.
bucks.
I think
of
it's
wood.
probably
Okay.
Yeah.
And
It's a bunch of wood.
some elbow grease.
And you have to, and also the weights from your weight equipment in the basement.
Yeah, a
Where did
couple,
you
couple 45-pound weights.
Where did you get the plans?
I made the plans. It was
You
my
made the plans?
it was my senior project in high school. So I spent all this time researching medieval weaponry and all that kind of stuff. And then I looked up what all these schematics looked like for trebuchets. And I just designed I made a little balsa wood model first that I could launch, and then I made the full scale model. Like it's not really full scale because they made fucking.
Well, see, this is what I refer to now is the idea of projectile freedom, where someone's like, "What do you want your life to look like?" And I was like, "I want projectile freedom." And they're like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "I want to be able to, in the place that is mine, to throw things."
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's just a population density question.
It really is,
right?
yeah.
I mean, where we were, there was like 6 people per square mile.
Yeah.
And so you could just fling things, even with a siege weapon that you built.
Yeah.
And you'd still, it's fine.
Even if they're explosive.
Yeah. So
I also miss burning the prairie.
Yeah,
that's true.
Oh my God.
those good times.
Prairies have to be burned.
Yeah, prairies have to be burned every couple years, probably.
I think
And
we did it every year.
We
just
did it every
'cause
year
we
for
could.
fun because it's too good. But the best one is we always try to pick a calm day because if you burn the prairie when it's windy, then you get fire tornadoes. And I'm not kidding at all. There are fire tornadoes.
You get two sort of converging fire paths, and then they come together, and then they whip around and make vertical inverse burning tornadoes.
Yeah, and then if there's a
Tornadoes.
high wind, then that thing actually travels. So you get a genuine fire path happening, which is really fun. We set the neighbor's field on fire once.
Yeah, only once though.
I think just once. The fire department always knew we let them know that this was going to happen because they could see it from town. They could always see that there was a fire out in the country somewhere.
Yeah, way to give them a heads up.
Yeah, just being able to burn stuff and throw stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
A lot of destruction-oriented things. You can't really do that.
We were children.
We were children. But I still want to do it.
What are you gonna do?
I still want to do it as an adult. All right, next question comes from Northbad. I noticed a few devs focus on HTML5 games as a means of revenue and could see it as a handy way to support yourself while working on a bigger project. However, this way seems to put money over the game quality. Any thoughts on devs that go this route?
On devs that go this route,
He wants us to
that's
judge
a
people.
dangerous question.
Yeah.
I actually just think as a route, I don't think it's.
I don't see how you could conceivably make more money on an HTML5 game.
Yeah, you can't. You absolutely can't.
If there is, someone let us know the market value there.
Yeah,
'cause
somebody hook us up with that because that seems crazy.
Yeah, I think making games that will make a very tiny amount of money as a way to offset the relatively enormous cost of making games to actually make money is probably not the wisest business move.
Probably not. But who are we to say? We don't know.
Who are we
I
to
don't
say?
know. Maybe they have access to information that we
Yeah,
don't know.
I doubt that it's putting money over game design.
Yeah, I don't know.
It seems unlikely.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the motivation.
We talking about Northbad? You trying to get us to talk smack about
Yeah.
these HTML5 devs?
Yeah, we got here, you
Come
rascal.
Come on. Matt5597 says, do you guys think HTML is a programming language? No,
I mean, isn't it not by definition?
it's a markup language.
Yeah,
It's
so
in fact, some might call it a hypertext markup language.
Mhm.
some might do that.
HTML.
Man,
You literally just put tags on stuff.
hypertext.
For those of you who don't know how to build websites, you just put some tags on stuff. By tag, I mean put a caret, put the word body.
No, not a carrot.
What the fuck? Sideways caret.
Greater than, less than signs.
Whatever. Sideways caret.
I wish we had a better name for those
Angle brackets.
angle brackets.
Mhm.
Okay,
What
now
about
we
curly
do-
brackets?
But
Those
no,
are
that's
curly
a different
braces.
Braces.
Curly
This is-
brackets are that's when you take a straight bracket and then you fry it and then you twist it around.
I thought that was when you curled it to get your bicep.
Yeah.
The curling bracket.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next question comes from Luke is cool. Does anyone know what the strange item is in the right side of the Duskwatcher's house that you can break with your pickaxe before you defeat all the enemies and what it does?
That's very specific.
This is very specific. I probably know, but also I haven't played Crashlands literally in like 7 months.
So we don't know. We don't know what that thing is.
I don't even know
It
what it
might not
made.
even exist. I think
Who
he made
knows,
it up.
Luke? Also, you should ask this on the subreddit.
No, this
Why are you asking this on a
this
podcast?
person's name isn't Luke. They really admire somebody.
Nah,
named
Luke's cool.
Yeah. Oh man, I love Luke so much. I'm gonna make my username Luke is cool.
Super cool.
Luke is the best.
Okay, so last question of the day comes from Arcarnix, who asks, you are visited by the Shenanigans Fairy, and they will reorder the letters of each of your names based on your choice. What would your shenanagram be?
I have two. And actually, one of them is my, or at least was for a while, my handle on Steam, which was Sacred Atom.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty
Good
good. And the other one, because it is visually comical, is Masted Orca.
Ooh.
Masted?
Masted, like you
Like
put a
with the-
mast in it.
I'll just go with my first name. I think I'll go with Hest.
Hissed.
Hest.
I remember because there's an anagram generator
Yeah.
online. I think we did this for mine. There was some hilarious one that involved cream. I can't- you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Or scream. There's something.
Well, both of those were going to be.
Yeah, there was something
Scream
absolutely.
cream.
It was something like that. It was just absolutely terrible. So that's the
Nice.
one I would pick. I can't figure it out right now.
Nice.
All right, cool. Well, I think that's it for this episode of Coffee with Butterscotch. Thanks for sticking around. And, if you want to ask some questions, go to podcast.bscotch.net and ask them. Tell your friends that this exists.
And
we're still growing
subscribe
this thing.
and give us comments, reviews,
And
whatever.
stars.
I don't know.
Whatever.
Do
whatever
a thing.
it is. And then Seth's game.
Alien Kitchen Turbo.
Alien Kitchen Turbo.
We'll put some links up.
I was trying to think of the name and just blanked on it. We'll have a link to it in the description if you want to give it a swing. Swing it like a cat, as they say.
Yeah. Swing it like a Polaroid picture.
Swing it like a Polaroid cat. And we'll see you next week. Coffee with Butterscotch.
Bye.
Bye.